Bob Dylan ignites the folk music scene in the early 1960s, but what happens when Dylan wants more creatively as his popularity grows and becomes the face of the folk music genre? James Mangold doing another music biopic, and another music biopic that has Johnny Cash in it. This time played by Boyd Holbrook.
Who is great. He was really good.
I think we've made our opinions known about music biopics. We are not fans of them. And yet we've seen two, including A Complete Unknown, that we liked quite a bit. A Better Man earlier in the month, and then now A Complete Unknown. Were you entranced by Timothy Chalamet in this movie?
Going to that point, I absolutely was. And we talked about this coming out of the theater. Timothy Chalamet is really... He's an actor that excites me, and he's young to see where his career is going to go. He's done so much this early in his career, and the way he portrays Bob Dylan, I mean, he falls into that character where it doesn't feel like an impersonation.
It rides the line. I feel like you have to do a little bit of impersonation when you're doing Bob Dylan, because you got to do the voice, and you got to kind of sing with him.
But I was able to go along with it.
Oh, I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun. I actually think it's, it injects a lot of energy into the movie, watching him do Bob Dylan and do it well. But often I don't like that thing. I tend not to like mimicry when it comes to performing iconic characters like this.
Because I felt that way about Johnny Cash. What Boyd Holbrook was doing, that felt a little bit more like an impersonation, but I was on board with that because every time he pops up on screen, he's stealing every scene that he's in. So I really like that. But yeah, I see what you're saying about kind of riding that line.
And this movie is practically a musical. Timothy Chalamet must sing 13 or 14 of Bob Dylan's songs, and not just portions. I mean, we have to sit through a lot of performances, long performances. And if you're not jiving with his interpretation of Bob Dylan, I can imagine that will be annoying. And I've seen some people talk about this movie having no real message, and I feel like I saw something in it that maybe other people did not. And it's this fanboy journey that Bob Dylan goes on. He arrives in Greenwich Village because he wants to touch the spark, to meet his hero Woody Guthrie and sing to Woody Guthrie a song. It is such a fanboy moment at the first scene of this movie with him and Pete Seeger, played by Edward Norton, who's phenomenal in the movie.
He's great, almost unrecognizable.
It's the fan who wants to touch the art. And then he does touch the art, and then he has a lot of success with it, and then he resents it. So it's like the fanboy who gets everything he's ever wanted, and then rejects
it. Because once he gets that kind of success that he's been looking for, it almost feels like he's kind of put into a box.
Well, it robs him of his own
basically his own creativity as far as what he wants
of his
to do.
life. He can't go out into public anymore, right? He can't go down to a club and watch a folk singer do their thing, because he's going to be mobbed, and that makes him angry, and that makes him resent his own fans. So he's always had admiration for Chuck Berry. Let's do the electric thing. And also, it's kind of a middle finger to that fan base.
No, you're right.
And in the process, elevates to another level of, rock god.
Well, and that was interesting about this movie going into that third act is how his fan base starts to reject him when he wants to play outside of the folk genre and bring in the electric guitar and bring in the drums and everything into the music, and then of course he goes to play at that festival. And the fan base does start to reject him, but he pushes forward because this is what he wants to do creatively.
These movies always climax at the big show, right? And it's, it's Live Aid and Queen, and it's like, yes, this is awesome. Look how glorious they are. And with this, because they have structured it with this festival, the Newport Jazz Festival, and the introduction of the electric guitar to his fan base, you get a rock concert that is awesome, but so antagonistic. It's not joyful. It's full of anger. And it just, to me,
that's something I've never seen before in a movie.
No.
You know, because it's always about how much the crowd is into what the artist is giving them from the stage.
And this Bob Dylan is not a great guy. You know, he's a jerk.
He's very
he
much
can
a jerk.
be mean. He can be vicious to the ones he loves. He can be vicious to his fan base. Like, it's such a prickly, spiky character. And I found that to be extremely compelling.
I mean, the thing that I enjoyed about it is the fact that Bob Dylan as an artist for me, has always been kind of mysterious. And this is to my own ignorance. And I mentioned this because I thought he passed away. I didn't know Bob Dylan was still alive. Maybe I was confusing him with Johnny Cash. But to me, that is kind of like the mysticism behind Bob Dylan, and that is kind of what engaged me into this movie more so than other biopics, because I don't know much about Bob Dylan's life.
Like, the movie does the thing that, you know, Bob Dylan biopics and documentaries have done in the past, where, you know, it takes a line out of a song, you know, like a Rolling Stone, A Complete Unknown, and that's the title. And then the movie is about how he is a figure that you cannot really ever understand by design.
By design,
And you know, I just think that by shortening this film to this particular time period, it's able to tell a specific theme, a specific performance, and it doesn't get lost in the, you know, he was born, you know.
It's not the cradle to the grave story. It doesn't deal with any of that. It focuses on this specific moment, and a very important moment, because it feels like it kind of changed what the rock genre or the folk genre was at that time.
And you can see the pain in Pete Seeger's soul when finally somebody has taken folk music and elevated it to pop, true pop music, and then that person drops it and says, I'm going to do the the Beatles thing.
It's a fascinating movie. I really enjoyed this. What's your rating?
I loved it. One of my favorite movies of the year. It's a big B+.
It's a movie I've been thinking about since we watched, and it makes me want to go back and listen to some Bob Dylan.
I've done it. You got to listen to Highway 61.
Okay, I'll download that one. So those are our thoughts on A Complete Unknown.
If you liked what you just saw,
then check us out on YouTube at PGC TV Online, and we'll see you at the movies.